everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Just Two Marks Wrestling Recap Show. I am the Athletic Geek, joined once again by Jedi Jason Kruger, and yes, this week it will be a recap show because there's stuff to talk about, but we gotta address last week. Unfortunately for you, Jedi, more people liked my fan fiction fantasy card for WrestleMania 35 than yours. It was close. It was very close in the voting. I know a lot of people direct message me. Unfortunately, most people sent me messages instead of commenting, but still being fair, I had two on there among others, and then several messages, but everybody really gravitated to yours because of the AJ Styles Miz. Or not the AJ. No, I did. You were AJ and Randy Orton. Everybody liked your AJ and Randy Orton, but then people like my AJ and Miz, including one mutual friend of ours who's trained to be a pro wrestler. Shout out Garrett, who liked my inclusion of Elias. But it was a tight race. But you know, when there's nothing to talk about, I ended up coming up with a better card that's probably not going to happen for WrestleMania.
We could dream.
Exactly. You could. But enough of that. This is the Just Two Marks Wrestling Recap Show. You haven't seen this show before. Myself and Jedi are huge wrestling fans. We love talking about wrestling. We love discussing wrestling with each other and you guys, the viewers. However, we are not insiders. We are not part of the wrestling business. Mush mouth there. I have a mouth in my marbles today. We like talking about, we love feedback, discussion. We like talking about it with all of you, but we're not experts. We're not in the business. We're no better or no more relevant when it comes to these opinions than all of you. At the end of the day, we are just two marks. We try not to use insider terms because we are not in the wrestling business. We are, at the end of the day, just two marks. And we got a surprisingly good week for both Raw and SmackDown this week. And then at the time of this recording, or I should say at the time, the day we're recording this, the G1 A block, or the A block finalists will be determined, and then tomorrow night the B block finalists will be determined, and then early Sunday morning at 1 a.m. our time, the G1 Climax winner will be crowned. So there will not be a G1 report just because at this point you just gotta watch it. But if you enjoyed the G1 reports, let me know. And when the World Tag League comes around in December, when the Best of the Super Juniors comes around next spring, and then next year for the G1, I'll definitely keep doing that on the show.
You are going to recap next week, though, right?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
Clarifying.
Yeah. So we'll definitely talk about that. That'll probably be the biggest news in wrestling. Who wins the G1? At least
What do you think?
From my perspective. Gonna give right now in the A block, it's either going to be Tanahashi, Okada, or Jay White. One of those three will win it. From the A block, B block, it'll either be Omega, Ibushi, or Naito. So, and we'll tangent off before we start Raw thoughts, since, unfortunately, Jedi, because he has kids and doesn't have a whole lot of time for social media or as much time for wrestling as he would like. He does not have a New Japan World subscription, so he has not been keeping up with it as religiously as others. But so I'll give the quick recap now. I'm going to commend New Japan because there's all 6 guys that could win the whole tournament are very. It could go either way. There's not kind of a whole, that guy's not going to win.
I'm at least aware of all these people, which means they're in fairly good
Right.
standing.
Well, and I'll admit, the final 4 for the Royal Rumble was good this year, where, you believed everybody could. Yeah. But there's always that time in the Royal Rumble where it's getting down to the nitty gritty, but you're like, fuck that guy.
Right.
Who's in there. That guy ain't going to fucking win. There is no, at least now, there is no, well, fuck that. Yeah.
The possibilities.
The one that you probably would have thought the least in Jay White, with the way the tournament's gone, you're like, no, I think he's going to win, or at least going to go to the finals. And then Naito, who we, a week ago when he lost to Ibushi, like some people wrote him off like, he got a shot.
Right.
It's an outside shot, but he's got a shot.
The way the tournament works, losing one match doesn't mean you lose.
Yeah. And, Tanahashi, who, even though he's a big star and he's always going to be a favorite, a lot of people are kind of like, I don't know if Tana will be in it this late, and by God, he is. So, very interesting, very excited. I know as soon as we get done recording this, because, spoiler alert, this isn't live, I am going to try and go to sleep so I can wake up very early in the morning to watch the A block as it happens, and then probably go back to sleep and waste my whole day. But enough about that. If you have New Japan World, or even if you don't, now would be a good time to sign up for it. By the time this drops, it'll at least be finals time. So go to njpwworld.com. It is 999 yen a month. Translates to about $9, $9.50, maybe a little bit up. You ain't gonna pay any more than what you're paying for the WWE Network to have this. And so go sign up for this at least by late Saturday night, early Sunday morning, and watch Files of the G1 because it's gonna be pretty awesome. But this is a recap and discussion show, and it's a pretty one-sided discussion, unfortunately, right now. So we're gonna take the raw thoughts. All right, it's time for raw thoughts, and they gave us an out and a technicality for us to break our rule that we established a couple weeks ago of not talking about the Universal title match at SummerSlam. Yeah. And we're not.
We're not.
We are not going to talk about
anybody participating in that match.
Yeah, we're not going to do that. But what about a guy on the outside of the ring? We didn't say we wouldn't talk about him, and that's what we're going to start off with. On Raw, sit-down interview, Paul Heyman and Renee Young. This just goes to show how awesome Paul Heyman is at his role. He is did such a good job. Last week he was informed by Brock Lesnar. You are not, you just work for me. You're just my employee. There's no friendship. There's no relationship, even after all these years. And that shook Heyman up. And he's even more shooken up by it. Is that word? Shooken, shaken, whatever. He's still bothered by that revelation from Lesnar. Lesnar even kind of gave him a nice little
Lesnar got physical with him also. So.
And he just did such a good job, conveying like how devastated he is. He's saying like Brock Lesnar's cut off all contact and he doesn't know what to think. And Renee Young's saying like, will there be somebody after him? He's like, this isn't, a week ago that was inconceivable. And now what? It's...
This is like a breakup on a very deep level.
Yeah. The best line that kind of sealed it was, my children consider his children friends. And it's just like, that's... God, Paul Heyman is so good!
When the man writes something...
Oh, yeah, and...
When he's involved in it, too.
Yeah. And my opinion on the main event at SummerSlam and not giving a rat's ass has changed, but I'm also not so much... I'd like to think. I'm not so much of a cynic that everything sucks. It sucks. No, this was actually really good in relation to this. I don't care because I don't care about the two people involved, but I care about Paul Heyman.
Yeah, they've got a story kind of going almost on the side where it's like, ooh,
what's going to happen
the
with...
main thing is like,
And I'm keeping my expectations low. Another regular contributor, JC, we had a hanging out the other night and we watching Raw, and I kind of brought up, what would be really cool? And again, I've been talking about this since this damn show started, and it's not, I keep telling myself, it's not going to happen, but wouldn't it be cool? Back in 98 when The Rock turned good, before he aligned himself with Vince, and the fans were warm up to The Rock, and, because there's a little bit of a smattering, it's still a small smattering among mainly women and children, but a little bit more love for Roman Reigns. what if, and then eventually, whatever. But when The Rock was getting love then, and then you thought, oh, he's gonna be the good guy, and then Swerve, bro. He aligns himself with Vince McMahon. Shane joins the corporation. Chefs Mick Foley. It just kind of entered my head. How fucking perfect would that be if, now that it's not just an overwhelming boo when he comes out, what if Roman Reigns aligned with Paul Heyman at the end of that match, out of his frustration of everything that's been going on? And then I go, that's not fucking happening. Leave your fucking dreams at the door!
Fair. That's fair.
But it leads me to go to this next part. Is there another Paul Heyman guy in the works? There's some people speculating that Owens might win the briefcase because Strowman can lose it on a DQ and Strowman can't control himself. Owens cashes in on, one of the two individuals I don't care for at the end of SummerSlam, and Paul Heyman helps him do it, and the Paul Heyman aspect of this whole storyline has me intrigued. Mm-hmm. It's a cautious intrigue because it could just be spear, Roman Reigns.
Later. Mm-hmm.
But this was something that's been added to it because that has made me give a half of a fuck about what's going on with the Universal title. And yeah.
I don't know about Owens. It's a weird pairing. I'm trying to envision in my head. Trying to envision that.
Yeah, but I
don't know.
I would be pumped up just for the sake of, hey, Kevin Owens is doing more stuff.
Oh, I agree. I just don't know if I could see those two together. Owens does fairly well on his own with the talking, unlike Heyman's current former. I don't know.
Another part that I don't like, it's like we always talked about riding off into the sunset with the Universal title and the UFC title. I'm just like, God, this is so good. Paul Heyman is so good. But yeah. And then,
he was reading the Westerner, the Outdoorsman or something. He's getting ready for that horse ride. Changed his mind. Anyway.
Ronda Rousey wrestled on Raw, and I give Miss Rousey props for not only her love of wrestling, but hey, she'll actually wrestle on Raw. Granted, she's not going to do it every week, but
sure not.
That's still that's something. Paul Heyman mentioned inconceivable. That's something inconceivable to think about Brock Lesnar doing wrestling on Raw. But Ronda Rousey will wrestling Alicia Fox in a not very.
She was wrestling Alicia Fox.
Good match.
That was an interesting choice for a first match.
I guess somebody just fuck you. I don't care. We don't. I mean, that's not a slight on Alicia Fox. But it's just kind of at this point. Hey, nobody's gonna be butthurt about you losing. Like maybe Natalya or maybe there's a better way. And again, this is not a slight on Alicia Fox. There's no money in a Rousey Alicia Fox match, so if you're gonna have Rousey wrestle on TV, throw Alicia there. There's money in Natty. There's money in Bliss. There's money in Nia. There's money in Mickie James.
Maybe. I heard some theories that it might have been her, except she's out with injury right now because she's playing second fiddle to Alexa, and it would kind of help make sense.
It would.
They also posited the only other person in that role of building other people up would probably be Dana Brooke.
Yeah.
So it was
Dana Brooke. But with Mickey, obviously she's, and I hate saying this about Mickie James because she's awesome, but compared to the three others that I mentioned, she's probably at the bottom, but there could be money there because of what she meant for women's wrestling.
That's fair.
I'm not...
I think there's more money in that rumor going around that she wants to face Trish Stratus again at
Evolution. That'd be awesome. That'd be great.
There's history there.
I'm not... people overrate Ronda Rousey. Because there have been people that have really... And then people... I feel, are kind of too hard on Ronda Rousey because just they don't like her.
Her particular path is unique. I mean,
Yes.
She's not going the Shayna Baszler route.
Yeah. Well, on one hand, that would have been great for her.
Oh,
because the thing I take from all of Ronda Rousey's matches I've seen so far is she's got a lot of potential.
Oh, yeah.
You know, she has potential to be one of the best women's wrestlers ever, and there's going to be people coming after me with pitchforks. She's got the potential. Potential, all capital letters, underlined it 3 times. Potential to be one of the best of all time. She needs more training. On the flip side, you can't really take somebody that has that much name value, and as cool as it'd be to see her in NXT, you can't do that. You got to capitalize on the money while it's there.
That's why, Baszler's got that advantage.
But it's kind of a weird situation where going to NXT and not the main roster where all the money is, and Ronda's probably making bank.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's kind of an interesting situation where maybe it's not as good for her to be on the main roster now. She needs to be, and I don't know what she's doing in her free time. Before WrestleMania, she was busting her ass. Love her or hate her, she worked fucking hard in the UFC, and she's a wrestling fan, so she knows she wants to get good. But at the same time, it's just kind of like one of those, like,
I can imagine if she's
that was just not very good.
Right. I would have to think if she's not on with the live event tours and stuff, that her downtimes at the Performance Center training, hopefully.
But
I would be wanting her to invest in that.
Oh, yeah.
But
you know,
I would think she would too.
It's kind of this peculiar rock in a hard place. But, you know, it's like kind of like what can you do? I mean, again, even with this situation, you can say, like, well, don't put her on Raw, but it's kind of like, no, but it's cool to see her wrestle on Raw, because then you know she's like the anti-Lesnar from UFC. It's kind of like, she actually wants to to be there and not just collect the paycheck.
They've got to use the novelty of her, but not make her a complete novelty act, because Lesnar's doing that and it's alienating people.
Lots of people.
Yeah, so they've got to avoid that.
Yeah.
And yet not turn her into just another person like Asuka who just loses and wins and is just kind of there, and like they did so beautifully.
There's that dead horse hammer right up there again. But yeah, Braun Strowman tipped over a whole set. I'm digging Jinder Mahal as kind of like Kevin Owens is like lackey, kind of spiritual advisor, whatever you want to call it. So I'm kind of digging Jinder in that role. And as we mentioned earlier, you know, again, I'm not setting myself up too high, because I do want Strowman to kind of be champion sometime soon. But I read a fan theory about Owens becoming Heyman's guy. I'm like, ooh, there's a path there. But I'm still keeping that expectation low, because I fully expect when we do our predictions episode, I'm picking Roman Reigns.
I'm kind of wondering where they're going to go with Strowman soon, because I feel like, I don't know, the magic's going to wear off if it hasn't already. It is fun to watch him flip things, but you can only do that for so long.
You can only flip automobiles and sets so long before we as wrestling fans are going, we're bored with that shit. But yeah, those are kind of the big talking about. Seth Rollins had a good handicap match with Ziggler and Drew McIntyre. And you've heard me sing the praises of all three individuals.
I was going to say,
a lot.
Those three are still have their working boots on. They're still going out there. Finn
Balor still in a pointless little storyline with Constable Corbin. I don't know. I don't care, and it makes me sad. It makes me sad that there ain't Finn
smiling, but we're not.
No, we're not. No, it makes me really sad. Makes me really sad they're wasting Finn Balor. And there's that dead horse thing again. But that was Raw on SmackDown. Alright, so it's time for SmackDown thoughts. And I'm going to open up with R-Truth doing something very entertaining. Nice little fun little segment with, I don't want to give too much of it. Just go to the WWE YouTube page and look this up. Us talking about it can't do it justice, but for the first time in a very, very long time, R-Truth was entertaining. And I love R-Truth, so sorry, Truth, but you kind of...
it is what it is.
Haven't really... Yeah. Really, really fun segment and match with Shinsuke. And... Yeah, that was cool. And then we have some more drama in the for the Smackdown Women's title. Triple threat match at SummerSlam. It will be Carmella defending against both Charlotte and Becky Lynch.
Yep.
And they're teasing somebody going bad.
Yeah.
Be it Charlotte or Becky, please be Charlotte, because Becky's just so awesome and doesn't need to be bad. But, they're kind of like, because Charlotte got added when it was already Becky's shot, so they're kind of maybe teasing like possible a jealousy or bitterness storyline there. But they want a tag match, and, they're kind of showing, And what's funny is, and you can just bring up your list if you still have it with you, by showing off this tag match that we had, and all the women's tag teams, and all these names on this here list that you made at work when you were bored.
Yeah, I was just trying to think how many possible tag team combinations. There's 25 names.
Now this is stretched across the main roster.
Yes, just rolling.
Throw in NXT.
Yep.
You got enough to do my WrestleMania idea of some women's tag titles, so make that shit happen, WWE. They'll just have to be floating belts that go to all three brands, but who cares?
That'd be great, wouldn't it?
It'd be great. Because make all these female alliances and tag teams actually mean something.
3 factions at least.
If you're going to have this many of them, actually make them mean some shit. But I'm interested in the storylines. It leads me to wonder who's going to win. Like, because I could see each woman winning. I could see Becky winning and Charlotte turning. I could see Charlotte winning and Becky turning. I could see
them turning on each other and Carmella walking away with the belt.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see Carmella just winning and what the fuck ever. I could see...
that'd be terrible. Sorry, in my opinion, out of the 3, oh gosh.
I could see all of them winning and just like, whatever. I can see... I don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
I really don't, I'm not well, my expectations are low for this, cool thing happening, the Kevin Owens situation on Raw. I don't know what's going to happen, and I'm pretty excited.
Right.
What's funny is they did actually take a nice little, which also, going into my, fan fiction, women's title WrestleMania match, hey, we work together better than Sasha and Bayley. So, little shots fired there, and... Again, hey, watch the episode last week and take a little bit out of both of ours, but mainly that one. Mainly my women's tag team title match, all of it. Doing a good job. I mean, some people are going to nitpick, but I think that's probably the match I'm looking forward to, probably second from the top.
I could see that.
Because obviously, and again, no disrespect to the 3 ladies, but number 1's going to be AJ Styles and Samoa Joe. And last week when we kind of said there's not a whole lot to talk about, and there wasn't. Let's just be honest. We could talk about interviews, but that takes maybe 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's better that we waited so we could.
Joe last week talking about kind of took shots at AJ as a father and a husband. And really kind of add that extra layer that you kind of need in a WWE match. Oh, yeah. If this was Ring of Honor, it'd just be I want the belt. But WWE, you need a little bit extra. The belt has caused this, so I feel like that's well done. AJ had probably one of his better interview segments that he's ever had in his whole career. And that's...
I would agree.
TNA, Ring of Honor, the press conferences in New Japan, WWE, all of it. Really showed how really how much AJ's grown over his time. Not only just his wrestling career, but just in the WWE. Because what was always the big slight against AJ when he was in TNA? Well, he's good, but he's just not a good interview.
Yeah.
He's good. He's great. He's maybe the best in the world, but he's just not a good interview. And then even you saw the beat up John Cena stuff, and the house that AJ Styles built. You saw him get better and better and better, and then to me this is you can't say he's not a good interview anymore. He may not be Mick Foley. He may not be The Rock. He may not be John Cena. But
you are.
Yeah. You kind of look at, from my perspective, you watch that interview, it's okay, you can't say AJ can't talk anymore. Right. You officially can't say, yeah, but I mean, he's not talking about being but he's not. You can't say that he is not a good interview anymore, because he is. And
they've made it very, very clear who the good guy is and who the bad guy is.
Oh, yeah. And it's a very good interview, where he talks about, he did sacrifice, and, he has this stuff, but he's driven as champion, for his family. And it's just really good. This, for completely different reasons, I don't want to give too much away, because if you have not watched it, I want you... they're available on the YouTube. You don't have to buy a subscription to the network. They're available on this... When you finish watching this, go type in WWE's YouTube page and go watch it. Because you owe it to yourself to see how funny the R-Truth, Shinsuke... and to mention that, Shinsuke was hilarious. And that, with his little... his awesome bad guy quips.
Oh, yeah. He hasn't stopped being funny.
Oh, yeah. But funny in a good way.
Oh, yeah.
Not funny,
not
where he's a complete
embarrassing
joke.
Funny. It's
yeah. But then, just for AJ, all the stuff he's done with this whole thing with his family and his sacrifice, it's just so good. You owe it to yourself to check it out, because if you like this layer of professional wrestling, that's... pretty much...
Yeah, you can't get much better than the build they're doing right now.
Yeah, it's...
Unless maybe...
In this community, the only thing in this community, as good as all that stuff is, it's being overshadowed by just greatness in Japan right now. I know if you're not watching Japan, it's ass side out of mind, but there's quite a few in the, that's what we are on YouTube and on the internet. We are the internet wrestling community. There's most people that really are connoisseurs of wrestling are focused on Japan right now, myself included, but, with the G1 wrapping up this week and with SummerSlam looming, maybe there's a little bit more to be excited about for SummerSlam than I thought last week. And just being honest, WWE could let me down. It's happened before.
Oh, goodness.
It's happened more times than I can count before. You have no idea. I think if I had $1 for every time I can think of an instance where WWE's let me down, I would have a much, much better production for this show.
Wrestling fans have more hope.
Yeah. But that's neither here nor there right now. No. The fact is, as critical as I am, and as much as I don't always like what they do, and believe me, that's a good majority of the time, I'll give them credit for 2 good TV shows this week, and maybe I won't just be feeling got nothing else, not the G1's over. I got something to look forward to at SummerSlam. Hopefully, once again, pulling out the cautious optimistic card that I probably should have, ripped up, burnt, put back together, and burnt again.
Hey, Daniel Bryan unretired, so you had to
but before we forget, this segment was not as good. I'm looking forward to the match.
It was better than
the Miz. The Miz did a good.
Castle.
Oh, let me put it to you this way: the Miz did a good job, but just the production of it wasn't
okay.
good.
I see what you're saying.
Everything else was good. The production of it wasn't good. I could not get over the bad production of this to truly appreciate how well Miz and how well,
See, the content was so much better than the last couple weeks.
Oh, absolutely.
In my opinion, that I
head and shoulders
glossed over the production.
Right. But looking for last time in SummerSlam, just remind me of the Miz and Daniel Bryan. They're lost my train of thought. What's that dude's name? The interviewer.
Oh, good grief. Byron Saxton.
Yes! My words were escaping me from Byron Saxton was in the ring talking to Miz on the Titantron, who was on the set of Miz and Mrs. On the set.
Paige's office?
Where, it was essentially looked like just backstage at a wrestling venue, including, as many people point out, the piece of artwork that was on the wall that was also in the background during Paul Heyman's interview on Raw. Miz does a good job talking up the match. Brian, calls Brian a coward and says he's over there at the arena. Where the Miz is at the arena too. And Brian jumps Miz before Miz, hits him with a vase, and he hightails it out of there. But it's just, I couldn't get over, he's on the set of his TV show because he's, Mr. A-list. And I'm like, that's backstage! It looks like everything we've seen backstage tonight! Like
at one point in the interview when he says, I've been here, referencing wrestling.
Yeah.
And he's pointing right where he's standing.
Yeah,
it's like,
oh. And it's just kind of, other YouTubers have brought this up too, and I'm inclined to agree. You couldn't have, said,
right.
You couldn't have gone to a hotel and gone to the hotel and said can we use this area that makes it look like not backstage at a wrestling event, there was no
one of the production trailers or something.
Yeah, you couldn't have had
that's probably right outside the arena.
Right, yeah, you couldn't have done something like that. You had to pretty much no, you're backstage down to the fucking piece of art on the wall. And it just
could at least
maybe and well, Mick Foley's not in there right now. But and maybe I'm nitpicking, but it's just one of those things. Just kind of I felt it was too obvious and took away something that ended up being okay to good could have been very good to great.
That's fair.
Just with a bad production issue.
My bar is low, I suppose.
Yeah. But not just because of Jan, but, because that is pretty much everything there is to talk about. That will be it for us this week. Mm-hmm. He's tired. He worked. He has kids. But that's why he has no social media, so you can't look up, anything on him. But you can look up stuff on me. And don't look up bad stuff, but you can look me up on social media, I guess I should say. Facebook.com/AthleticGeek89 for more content, not just from World Pro Wrestling, but from comics, anime, games, so much more. Check it out. Go like the page. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a share. Check out the rest of the content. Give me a like, a subscribe. And that's pretty much it. For Jedi Jason Kruger, I am the Athletic Geek. We are just two marks. And we're out. Later.